in the paper 2, in IGCSE Marine Science, you're going to be looking at data. So it's nice to know how Cambridge like data to be presented. If you're already doing stuff like combined science, biology, chemistry, physics, you've probably been through this a lot. But here, just a short note on how Cambridge like to see the data. So, first of all, take a look at what Cambridge actually writes on the front page here, that you should use a black or a dark blue pen, but this is important, you can use a pencil for diagrams or graphs, so that's a good idea. Another important thing here, you may use a calculator, and you should show all your workings and use appropriate units. And I'm gonna think, come on, another one, bring a ruler. That's one rule I have. For any Cambridge Science exam, always bring a ruler. Okay. Presentation of data, and this is especially important in number 2. The data should be recorded to reflect the position of the measuring instrument. So for example, there's often quite where you measure in millimeter, so use that. The smallest difference that can reliably be detected on the measuring instrument scale should be reflected by the number of decimals given in the measurement. This is important. Think about that. Any measurement or calculated quantity must be accomplished by the unit. Always use a unit whenever you can. Each column of a table should be headed with observation or physical quantity and the unit where approximately. Because units should not be included with the data in the body of the table, they should be in the header. And again, data should be recorded to the appropriate number of significant figures, especially if you're using a calculator. Think about this. Okay. When we make graphs, and that quite often happens in paper 2, the column headings of a correctly headed table can be directly transferred to the axis of the constructed graph. And a graph should be drawn with a sharp pencil. That's why you bring a pencil. Each axis should be labeled with physical quantity and the unit where appropriate. Unless instructed otherwise, the independent variable should be plotted on the x-axis and the dependent variable should be plotted on the y-axis. And again, unless instructed otherwise, the scales of the axis should allow more than half of the graph grid to be used in both directions. This is quite important. I see many people draw a graph that is too small. Point on the graph should be marked as crosses or encircled dots. I know that the Cambridge people, they like crosses. So please use that. Be precise. Each data point should be plotted to an accuracy of 1/2 of the smallest square in the grid. So if you have a millimeter square, your data point should be within 1/2 a millimeter. A best fit line, trend line, should be a single, thin, smooth, straight line or curve. Okay. A best fit line or curve should only be drawn if there is a good reason to believe that the values can be predicted. Candidates should be able to take readings from the graph, and data should be read from the graph to an accuracy of 1/2 of the smallest square in the grid. This means be accurate when you read from the graph. Sorry about my dog barking. Drawings. Cambridge like to have these drawings. For example, in the exam last time, you had to draw a sketch of a fish. And this is important. The drawing should be drawn using a sharp pencil. The lines that are clear and unbroken. And the drawing should be made to use most available space with no shading or no use of color. This means actually, if you're a good drawer, this question becomes harder because you want to shade, you want to show all the gills, you want to show the structure. You shouldn't do that. You should make the drawing as boring and as you possibly can, only using like an outline and nothing else. Pie charts are generally used to show percentage or proportionality, and they should be drawn for category or discrete data. And it's bar charts, and they should be made up of bars of equal width that do not touch. And histograms should be drawn for continuous data, and they should have bars that touch. So just reviewing these things here will make especially paper 2 a lot more easy for you. Good luck, it's coming soon.